The Miami Heat's master plan to round out their roster has just been revealed. As with a huge update happening to one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, the Heat now find themselves in the perfect position to make a huge move going forwards that also leads to them rounding out their roster from the team that everyone has used in trades throughout this offseason already. And we're going to break all this down, how the Miami Heat can go about making an absolutely huge move going forwards, and much more as well. But guys, before we jump into that, if you're part of that 80% that is not subscribed to Miami Heat Digest, make sure to subscribe for daily Heat updates on the team. Obviously, I understand it's August. We're a little bit slow in the NBA times right now. However, there is still some stuff going on and some stuff that we do have to talk about and break down, and we are going to do just that. So buckle in and let's do this thing. As we know, Pat Riley and the Miami Heat are always trying to scheme and find a way to make things as good as possible for themselves. And we understand that this is a very interesting lineup that the Miami Heat have right now. Looking at the Heat, there definitely is some interesting rotations that are going to have to be used based off the personnel that is on this team right now. I mean, when we look at Miami's depth chart, it's interesting. I mean, look, I've said it before. I want Nikola Jovic starting at power forward and Bam at center, and then having Khalil Ware off the bench so he can play more center instead of Jovic, because Khalil Ware's better off at playing center than Jovic is. But at the same time, we look at everything around the Miami Heat right now, and this is a team that has somewhere between 6 and 47 wings on the roster, where the guard depth, specifically in regards to playmaking, and the big man depth is just lacking. They don't have a true point guard on the team, and they really only have one true center in Bam Adebayo, and that definitely is cause for concern going forwards. People do want to see the Heat make some moves, and over the season, I imagine that they will make some moves so they could sort of round this out, get another playmaker onto the roster, and get another big man. But now the perfect situation has risen for the Chicago Bulls, for the Miami Heat to make a absolutely huge move. And it involves, it's not trading for him, but it involves former Miami Heat wing Max Strus. Now, it was recently reported from Michael Sands that the Miami Heat could surprisingly offer an unexpected lifeline to the Cleveland Cavaliers after it was reported that their noted sharpshooting wing Max Strus is expected to miss 3 to 4 months with an injury. If the Cavs wanted a cheap replacement, they should look no further than Simone Fontecchio as a potential trade target, and the Heat should be willing to oblige. If Miami is looking for a way to create even more cap space in order to sign another player without crossing into the luxury tax, it should be willing to move on from Fontecchio's contract. The Cavs, all of a sudden, could be a prime landing spot for this situation to happen. On top of that, we look at Max Strus. He's a tough guy to replace for this Cavs team. He put up 9 points per game last year, 4.3 rebounds, and 3 assists, shot 38% from 3, and 38% on the corner 3 as well. Max Strus is a very good shooter, as we all know quite well, and just is an overall good player. Solid defender as well. Again, not some world-beating defender, but he is a solid defender. And he is better than Simone Fontecchio, but Fontecchio gives him a guy right now who, despite struggling from 3, only shooting 33.5% from 3 last year, his minutes were very, very inconsistent, and that was a huge part of shooting. If you're getting inconsistent minutes, your shooting is likely going to go down. With Cleveland, his minutes would be a bit more consistent, as they could use another wing while Max Strus is healing up. Meanwhile, you go and you get Fontecchio onto this team, and then all of a sudden you have a guy who's putting up 6 points per game and 3 rebounds with 1 assist in inconsistent minutes, who's also playing quite well for himself in the overseas EuroLeague preparation games right now. And with that, it was also mentioned that maybe the Heat want to see how, or at least at the start of the season, play out with Fontecchio on the roster. But there were some whispers that the team was open to waiving him just a few weeks ago. There's a chance that that sentiment has changed after the Haywood Highsmith trade, but it certainly is a scenario that could still be explored. Even though the Heat could absolutely use the shooting, there's no question that at this point, Miami may be better off swapping Fontecchio's spot on the roster for a big man. I'm not sure how realistic that remains at this point, but the Heat should be willing to explore all avenues to accomplish just that. Now, with all that in mind, we look at a trade like this where things actually do make a ton of sense, because the Cavs, they get Fontecchio in this deal, cut a little bit of money in the process. I mean, Max Strus is getting more money, so the Cavs actually can avoid and get out of that second apron pretty much, which is absolutely huge. I mean, then that changes a lot for them going forwards, because they get Fontecchio, they get out of the apron, and on top of that, the Brooklyn Nets pick up a few second-round picks. One of them is that second-round pick that the Heat just got from them, which is protected 31 to 55. But they get that back, which they could use again in more cap dump trades and stuff like that, while also adding on 2 second-round picks and Max Strus onto their team. Strus, someone who would come back to a Brooklyn Nets team after 3 to 4 months, which would put things around that December-ish mark, and all of a sudden, November-December mark, all of a sudden, Max Strus is getting a lot of touches on a bad Brooklyn Nets team and quickly becomes a guy who teams are going to look at as an option at the trade deadline. The Nets would be able to sell high on Strus after he's getting more touches with the team showing what he can do now that he's back from injury. And a bunch of contenders that could use an extra wing would look to make a deal with the Nets so they can get more picks in the whole situation. What the Nets pay for that is Day'Ron Sharpe, who has never really gotten a ton of consistent minutes in Brooklyn. And the Miami Heat, who desperately need a big man, could fit Sharpe right in as their backup center, as a guy who does fit really well with the Heat and does have some similarities to Bam Adebayo. And on the surface, he also lets Kel'el Ware play power forward throughout the season. And then you could start Kel'el Ware at the 4 still and have Jovic come off the bench if you would rather do that as well. Or just keep the same thing because I like Ware's rim protection next to Day'Ron Sharpe personally. But it depends on whatever floats your boat. At the same time, the Heat actually do cut the tiniest bit of money here, so they stay away from that luxury tax. They could maybe try to add another player at some point as well to this team, maybe a playmaking type of guy like a Malcolm Brogdon or something like that. And they also get a nice young big man to add to the team who gives them more depth at a position that desperately needs it, because if Bam or Ware go down with an injury, things get really, really worrisome really, really quickly. This is a trade that I think is absolutely excellent for every side, and when I made it on FanDuel, I'm not going to lie, I was pretty proud of myself, guys. I thought it was a good deal. Now, on top of that, Fontecchio may have struggled last season, but he's not struggling right now. Against Latvia recently, he put up 21 points and shot 3 for 5 from 3, which is the big thing surrounding him. On top of that, when we look at the highest scoring performances from Eurobasket 2025 preparation games, we see Lauri Markkanen, then Pelle Larsson, just shout out to Pelle Larsson, kind of showing that, you don't really need Fontecchio on this team because Larsson is ready to take over in a bigger role. And then Lauri Markkanen again, and then just, Franz, Luka, Vooch, just a bunch of the usual suspects. And Richards Lamaze's. That's definitely not how you pronounce his last name. It's definitely not like Lamaze, like a Lamaze class. That's like for like people who are pregnant, I guess. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, dude. I'm 24. I don't understand pregnancies. Like I'm not out here doing that, fathering people. What the hell am I talking about, guys? This is what you get from me with Heat Digest sometimes. You're just gonna get me to go on some random ramblings. But also the most second chance points per 36 minutes of the 2024-2025 NBA regular season. Day'Ron Sharpe is at the top. So you go out there, you get an underrated guy in Day'Ron Sharpe, and at the same time, you also get to give Pelle Larsson more minutes while getting the Brooklyn Nets a situation that they'd be willing to give up Sharpe in, and all at the same time, you save a little bit of money by helping out the Cleveland Cavaliers so they are not without a wing going into next season. Everybody wins, everybody's happy, including me. Guys, like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications, or you might have to learn about a Lamaze class. Have a great day. I swear something's wrong with me, dude. It has to be.